So the other day I was down this rabbit hole and I came across some people who actually believe head over heels in the concept of lizard people. Now, as easier as it is to just throw it aside, I'd like to first give it an open shot, give it an opportunity, and explore the facts. So here we are. This is what the conspiracy theory actually says. So it is believed that the Anunnaki came down to the earth and made two different species, the Anukai and the humans. And the Anukai are snake people or lizard people, if you will. These so called beings are the first creatures that were put on the earth. According to this theory, they also have ancient roots, so they're supposed to be very old, genetically evolved creatures that were put on this earth. By no means were they evolved on the earth from the get go. They say that these things, for lack of a better terminology, can shapeshift, and that is the reason why all the major world leaders and all the big famous people are usually affiliated to this theory. Everyone believes that anyone who's in power is a lizard person. The reason why this conspiracy blew up in the first place, it was first written down in this old little book called The Shadow Kingdom. It was published in 1929, and it was something that wasn't really that intricate or that oriented towards one specific theory by any means. What happened then is these creatures got an image boost by some guy called David Icke. Now, I'm sure most of you guys who know in the world of conspiracies, you're very well versed in the name of David Icke. He was a real true scumbag by all means of the imagination. He has been a rampant racist. He's been a Holocaust denier. He's done no good except for maybe muddy the waters with a lot of conspiracy theories, some of which might hold some water. I don't know. The basic conspiracy theory suggests that these creatures are from a constellation called Alpha Centaurus, and these creatures came here through the Anunnaki, as I said earlier. Another interesting thing about this theory is that it is purely Western. Never ever do you hear a certain example about this theory coming from the Eastern world. It makes zero initiation effort in terms of including the rest of the world. You hear Yeti theories from throughout the world. You hear conspiracies about the earth being flat from around the world. You hear so much from around the globe that is supposed to be like a global conspiracy. But when it comes to lizard people, you'll primarily hear about it from the Western world. Examples are usually dawdled out from the Western world. And that is to no surprise to anyone because it holds no water whatsoever. And the examples that they've put out, well, some of them are weird, some of them are even weirder. So there's this one Middle Eastern story that came out a couple of years ago about this. Apparently, there was this girl who disrespected a holy testament in terms of a holy book, and she, as soon as she disrespected in terms of, she threw it around and she kicked it, and she apparently set it on fire or something. And the consequences of that was that she developed these weird scales all over her body, and she was taken to the hospital the next day and all that jargon. So this was an actual news story. But that's the only remote link that I could find. The other thing is that people always tend to see that the very successful, the very well known, the very well established people on this globe have some tendencies that are rather odd. Or the fact of the matter is that those tendencies reside in all of us, and society has a well distributed measure of these people who share the same views, share the same thoughts, even though they might otherwise not be something that are mainstream. But that doesn't mean that they're secluded. You could find anyone who shares the same interests as you, no matter how weird or how out there your interests might be. The point of the matter is, people tend to write off behavior that isn't normal, especially if that behavior is being portrayed by some famous person or some person in power or some really rich and successful human being. Now, the one thing that kind of weirded me out while I was doing research for this was the fact that a lot of the presidents of the United States, as well as presidents in the UK, I'm sorry, prime ministers in the UK, are usually related to each other. So Obama was related to Bush by a long, long line, and a lot of other presidents. And as a matter of fact, if you go deep enough, you figure out that Hillary Clinton is actually related to Donald Trump. They're 19th cousins, which is just beyond contemplation. But yeah, it's a fact. The issue here is that it is still unconclusive if that is just coincidence, because that's just how the human race evolved throughout the years. And 19th cousins means that, yeah, there's a huge gene pool. But the thing is that if anyone has existed for that long, we started off with a fixed amount of humans, right? And no matter what the population is today, it came from those fixed amount of ancestors. Hence, when you do ancestry.com, you can actually trace your DNA back to a certain root, which makes sense now that you think about it. But it's still rather weird and kind of shocking when you find out that Trump can be related to Hillary and is related to Hillary. They're 19th cousins. And Obama was related to Bush and a lot of other presidents that were sitting, including Winston Churchill. It's just kind of weird because you never expect such a thing to actually be true. You can hear about this a lot on the conspiracy websites or conspiracy channels, and you're like, yeah, you're making stuff up and all that jargon. But when you actually see evidence of this actually being true, you're kind of blown away because it makes no sense. It's something that shouldn't be there, but is there. So how do you explain it? And I already told you, the theory could be the fact that, we came from a fixed number of ancestors through which humanity branched out. But yeah, it's still kind of iffy. But to end this conspiracy theory, I'm going to completely dismantle it. And how am I going to completely dismantle it is this. There was research done on the human brain neurons. And it turns out that humans have a genetic predisposition to be afraid of snakes. Why? Because in the olden days, when we were merely cavemen or early humans, an encounter with a snake would be the end of you. They were the most deadly things out there, considering we didn't have any safety equipment, we didn't have any shoes on, we didn't have something that could make sure that we were protected from those deep fangs going straight through us. It's all just funny because you don't really understand that these receptors can be passed down. And when you do understand that, everything falls into play. That this genetic fear of snakes that we have, like most of us are afraid of snakes. You will find 1 in every 10 people or 1 in every 20 people who doesn't care about snakes at all. They're not afraid. They have no fear at all in handling snakes, engaging in snakes, making sure that they make sure the snake goes away in scenario in which the snake is in a person's space or something. The point of the matter is, people are afraid of snakes on a genetic level. And this conspiracy panders straight towards that predisposition that is involved in your gene spectrum. That snakes are bad news, snakes mean death, snakes means fear, snakes means phobias. And just the fact that we had to avoid snakes so much, we made behavioral changes. There were patterns that were implemented that made sure that humanity went in a different direction because of this threat. It was that primary of a threat to us. It's not something that you can just believe that, oh, it never existed. Of course it existed. It exists still today. People in the Amazon, people everywhere throughout the globe in every dense forest are afraid of snakes. Why? Because they actually are pretty dangerous. And this predisposition that we have for snakes, if then attached to some sort of subhumanoid creature and cultivating it into a species all on its own, and then affiliating that said species with known human beings and targeting their race and calling them that these people are the source of this and they are pure evil makes no sense whatsoever. You're just spewing hate at that point in time. And you need to be able to make the difference between spewing hate and understanding that some things are genetically predisposed into our brains. We have a natural fear of the dark. We have a natural fear of snakes. We have a natural fear of big bushes in the dark because predators would hide behind them. We have a natural fear of being followed, being stalked, as it were. Because why? Because once a predator stalks you, the next move is attacking you and killing you. We have a natural fear of heights. Why? Because the harder you fell from a higher altitude, the worse you were damaged in the process. Most of us never made it down. Those of us that did broke limbs, had to suffer elongated periods of time. Some succumbed to their injuries, others didn't, but learnt a valuable lesson. Those that witnessed these people get hurt witnessed something that they held on to. It was a valuable lesson. Things that you come across in your life that you might believe is a valuable lesson, you will retain and you will subconsciously pass it down, either through your behavioral patterns or through your genome. The study in genes and genetics, it's still very, very premature. We don't know what all gets passed down, or if certain there is a theory out there that suggests that certain tendencies that I might pick up for certain throughout my life will be passed down to my kids. Just through me, they'll have a natural knack for certain things. And why is that? It's because they were given this information genetically. And that holds so much water today in an argument that there is no denying it. People say that their kids are just like them. His behaviors are just like them. They picked up on patterns that they themselves were interested in. Why is that? Because on a genetic level, you are transferring some information that is considered valuable to you. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. So if that information is helping you survive, or if that information is helping you thrive, you will retain it and you will pass it down to your next of kin. And that's just facts. So about lizard people, there are no lizard people. Let me confirm that to you right here and right now. You do not need to worry about the presence of a sub-terrestrial species that is out to get us and is evil and hides among us and all of that. There are no lizard people. There is a lot of other sketchy behavior out there. And for those of you that say that no, all conspiracy theories are crap, I would say 2 words to you: Jeffrey Epstein. And that's it. The fact that that conspiracy theory turned out to be completely true, 100% true, just states that conspiracy theories aren't all nonsense. But yes, there are enough people out there who want to muddy the waters so that you and I can't contemplate as to what actually holds ground and what doesn't. What deserves your attention and what deserves to be ignored and let go of. With that being said, I hope that you sleep better tonight knowing that there are no lizard people under your bed or in your closet or under your washroom floor waiting for the right opportunity to pounce. The things humans believe. Alright, see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.